Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. This is episode 33, and I am your host, Ellis, otherwise known as Trainman. This is where we left off, more or less, although I added some more water in the meantime. But nothing else real special has gone on. I started to work this way. I added a little bit of terrain. Actually, what I did was I brought up the terrain here to a level of about 10 meters, period. Or, ish. So that I could run stuff above the water without incurring a sort of bumpy landscape. Which is good. I wanted to continue this a little bit farther, but I never got around to it. And this water, as you might notice, has a little bit more deep spots than other water, like this, for example. I'm not too worried about that because it's underwater, but the reason that happened is because I was focusing on it a little bit too long, or, the game was keeping me from moving my mouse around freely. It's a weird geological anomaly, because I was trying to download a whole bunch of stuff. For example, this stuff. Wait, what is it? That's strange. BDW stuff. Which, I would say it was suggested to me, but that doesn't give you the whole picture. Ah, boo, it doesn't do the thing. Now, before we start, though, let me switch to route layer so that I don't screw something up. And we have a Warren Truss Bridge spline. That's pretty cool. We'll have to use that somewhere. He seems nice. Let's boil him to death. Is there any other BDW stuff? No, just this stuff here. Is there any... Are there... Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Uh-oh. Oh, never mind. I was expecting a big station. This is really cool, though. From city to city. For the IRM. Oh, this is cool. I wish it was a T-side thing, though. We've got all these trolley poles. Or, well, telephone poles, actually. We've got a bunch of barns for the museum. Probably not going to be using those. They're a little bit too new. We've got the East Union Depot. Okay, we do have a bunch of nice cool depots, but they don't seem to have... Oh, that's cool. They don't seem to have renamable stuff. Steam Shop, nothing interesting. Twali, Light Tower 1. This is cool. I might use this for like a baseball field or something. We've got traffic lights, bridge ends, Warren Truss Bridge Pier, these are good. Laurel Line. Ooh, Laurel Line. Okay, this is awesome. Track is weird, but it's awesome. Whoa. This is a little bit low res, but it's very cool. Do we have any splines? Yes, we do. We've got power pole spline. Oh. Oh. That's not helpful. Power pole. Oh, these are really nice. Oh, I should replace stuff with these. Power wire spline. Okay, that's just wires. EPA power pole. Cool. I'm wondering what EPA actually stands for in this case, because I don't think it's Environmental Protection Agency. This is really cool. Okay, I'm really gonna have to play with these. This is awesome. NYC, oh my god. Main telegraph. That is awesome. Power line. Oh, you know what? I should replace my current power lines with these, because these look cool. A little bit less low res. We've got all sorts of these. All these telegraphs. We've got a retaining wall. That's really nice. A little bit too new. Shark nose poles? What are these? I don't know what that means. Shark nose poles. Telegraph pole. 50 wires. Water Street Bridge spline. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's nice. I'll take that. Skewed truss. Oh, nice. That is more useful than I can really describe. Okay, so... what else? Do we have any T-side? No. That would be so useful to have this stuff as T-side objects. Make me very happy. Alright, we've got to continue with the track though. We've already burned like 6 minutes doing this. We do have to continue in this direction. So I actually added a thing. Real quick. I added this. This is the beginning of something great, which is going to be a spur that runs to probably around here, if not farther. Which is going to run to a quarry. And we may have the first of our creameries over there. So, I talked with my fellow modelers over at the NBW about the way creameries are set up. And sort of the conclusion was come to that a 4-track mainline would not necessarily be appropriate for a place with creameries. Just because of the way that works with population density and everything like that. But I think I'm just gonna see how it turns out. And if it doesn't seem to be coming out very well, then I'll relegate the creameries to be on the Volga Mountains Railroad instead of here. Alright, let's say you go up there, and then we go in this direction. I'm trying to keep an eye out for what's like nice and flat, but I also need to keep an eye out where is the coastline. Coastline is there. And so what I'm probably going to want to do with this track is bend it a little bit more towards the coastline. Because this is we're following old right-of-way. Yeah, it doesn't look good at all, but you get what I'm going for, at least. I'm gonna try to keep away from stuff like this where it's perfectly parallel to the grid lines. Or, you know, even really close to being parallel, because while that does make things easier for long straight sections, it's not particularly realistic, and I would like to have a little bit more variation. Go this way. I am using the music again, hopefully I don't get flagged for it this time. I think I'll put something over here. Yeah, so we're gonna pretty much cover this whole area without doing very much. But yeah, I'm going to try to be much more gentle with this right-of-way, and a little bit less gentle with this right-of-way, as the sort of yin and the yang of the way this railroad was built. I want this bridge to be flat. See, the other one we're sort of just going with the flow. Here we're not. We do have to climb to proper elevation. Once we get through this hillside here, we need to straighten this. Let's see, what avoids the hills? I think going in this direction is good. We're not avoiding the hills, actually. We just went straight up one. Well, here, I'll make this turn here, and then we'll head out this way. Is there... Oh, yeah, there's a hill right there. So we're going to try to avoid that by doing that. We're still sort of running parallel, which isn't necessarily ideal, but it's something. We have a very nice gradual turn there that just sort of happened on its own. I like that. We'll have to play with the elevation once we get the right-of-way down. But we're gonna have to fill in more stuff, so... First things first, let's start the fighting of the Z's. Pretty much line up, what I've learned is pretty much line up to the edge of this because you don't really know how it's all gonna turn out. Okay, right along here. This is a pretty straight line, which is... It's got its pros and cons. I might want to bend it a little bit more this way. So where are we with water? We're right here. Yeah, I think I'm going to start over here. And continue this curve where we run sort of this way. That's the end of the map right there. Alright, let's raise some ground to height. And continue in that direction. Grab this, grab that. We're gonna have to have another, like a quasi-protected harbor here, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have another little spit that comes out, at least like this. So maybe this can be truthful more or less. But I do have to have a protected harbor for Mason Valley. Because it would make sense. It's what it has to be. So the interlocking itself is going to be here. The interlocking is going to be at one end of the yard. Which is going to be the far end of the yard, really. I need to add more tiles. This is an occurrence that happens far too often. I'm just making more work for myself. We know the map is going to be this big anyways. Alright, so we have that. We have all that, that's for sure. I don't know why this doesn't show up as a... Oh, I ruined the recording. Stop. Okay, give me a moment to get this back to the proper resolution. I apologize for that. You're still staring at a black screen, I know. Hold on a minute. Give me another moment. This should be the proper resolution, yes. Oh, no, it's not. Well, it doesn't really care. But this should be the proper resolution. Alright. And... we are back on, and... sync. Sync. Alright, well, that's going to create some more work for me. Of course, that happens. What do you people want? Alright, I don't want to end up with another sort of Bridgicus Maximus, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bending this back inward. Although we were playing with terrain, so I do have to pay attention to that more. We were playing with general layout of stuff. It's like pre-terrain. I think we should be meeting these guys back up over here somewhere. Unless we're going to have this climb even more. Which I really don't think is appropriate. I should not do that. The only issue is I'd love to put stuff in the middle here. And I'll put like farm fields in there or something. But that means we're going to have a lot of crossings on that stretch. Okay, so if Mason Valley interlocking is going to be about here, I'll put a little X marks the spot. Should be right in the middle of this. Let me paint something. Something that sticks out, like this. Not that I didn't have it as something that sticks out, but... Alright, so long as you can see it from space, I'm okay with that. Which means that at the very least we're going to need another tile here, and another tile here, and another tile here, and another tile here, and another tile here. I missed. Right there. And another tile here. At least. We will certainly need more than that. Look at that. I'd rather it be a sort of long, slow thing but it's not. It's sort of stunted, which I'm not sure if that's good or not. I'd rather it be a more straight line. So what I think I'll do is I'll try to reflect that. I'll give it one attempt, one good attempt at trying to reflect that. Turn this all the way up. So we'll go in a straight line. Yeah, we really didn't do any better. How about another good attempt? One more. No, I kind of like how this is. I think I'll leave this. I don't know exactly what to do with this, though. Although, we should have... So, if Mason Valley Interlocking is going to have the beginning of the river line, so to speak, it should look more like this. And then another curve that runs off more or less in this direction. To represent that it's this big inlet. One second, if you'll humor me for just one moment, I need to bring up a map. I need to look at the thing that I'm trying to emulate, because this is not good. This is me taking guesswork. That's not something that I necessarily should be doing. So, I am going to go and look real quick at the saddest state in the Union, otherwise known as Connecticut, and how this looks. That's the wrong spot. I'm looking at Groton. There it is. Okay, so... A, it's gonna be wider than this. Like, significantly wider. Let me, It's gotta be wider than this. This is too narrow. Much too narrow. Sort of a question of how wide do I want this to be. I can measure. Let me measure. Measure distance from here to here. That's half a mile. Alright, so that's a little bit too wide. These tiles are... What did I say? They're about half a mile? So maybe this is wide enough. So maybe they're wide enough. I want a bulge, actually. Right? Because that's what's going on here. And I'm measuring things like a madman. Yeah. There's actually some really cool stuff that goes on over there in terms of terrain and terminal moraines, terminal areas for the river. Terminal moraine is typically a glacier thing, but the entirety of southern New England is a terminal moraine. It's all glacier remnants. All of it. Long Island. It's one huge terminal moraine. It's where all the rocks piled up from the glaciers that slowly brought them southward over, you know, a period of thousands of years, 10,000 years ago. When, as one of my professors loves to say, we were covered in a mile of ice. Which we were. Just about over here. We were covered in about a mile of ice. I need to bring this out to like there. Does that look right? Maybe even more this way. That doesn't seem right at all. What if I left that there and did this? Why am I not just using the plateau tool for this? Because that'll make things more interesting. Mostly because I can't see. That's why. See, Old Saybrook has this big thing that sticks out this way. But I don't necessarily need to reflect that. What I could do is I could do a better job of... Let me add more tiles. I could do a better job of... let me fill this in, because I wanna figure out the landscape here now. Another one over here. I can do a better job of showing the sort of multiple channels that are definitely going to be here, because we're going to have sort of an island. Let me fill this in with water. See, this is bad because we made the edge this when it really shouldn't be. It should be something else. Let me smooth the edge a little bit, and then I'll do some terrain work. See, remember, the deal is I'm just going to do this all in one section. I'm not going to move on to the next section until this is done. The Mason Valley line is technically included in this section. Because this is the river now. This is the river that I cannot cross. Before I had what came to be known as the Vonotaro River, which borders Olive. But this is now the river that I cannot cross, which is a river I don't have a name for yet. I have a name for the valley, but I do not have a name for the river. I'm tempted to name it the Conemaugh just because I can. That's such a fun name. But that would imply that everyone here is going to drown. For those of you that didn't have to read the Johnstown Flood for any classes, lucky. And go read it. And I don't say that because I want you to feel my pain. I say that because it's actually not a bad read once you really get into it. I picked it up expecting it to be a much worse slog than it was. I can do something really interesting here and not cross the river at a right angle, although why on earth would I not cross the river at a right angle? Well, let's see. So let's water up this area a little bit more. I could do something I hardly have ever done, which is actually have a curved yard. I want at least some of the river to be deep enough for boat traffic. So I will pay attention to making a channel down the middle. Whatever that ends up looking like that. And subsequently won't make it difficult to put a bridge across. But if I were to make this inlet a whole lot wider, if I push this back, if I put all sorts of water over here, and then either plateaued this or just height tooled this right here, and then over here I sort of left it the same distance, but added basically what's going on there, but over here. Because I don't like this right here. This is not where I need it to be. Alright, so let's push this back. We've got something that looks like an inflated T-Rex. Doesn't really look like a T-Rex. It looks like, if it's going to look like any sort of dinosaur-related thing, it's going to look like the frickin' dinosaur, what are they called? Like the dinosaur chicken nuggets that you could get on the kids menu at some places. Which, for the record, those were always awesome. Alright, so we're going to brush this inward to make this slope a little less steep. And then we're going to do the opposite here. We're not going to brush it inward. We're just going to go up to the edge to make the slope steeper. Well, I'm going to brush it back to make this side of the slope a little bit less. Okay, so the idea behind me doing this is to create the ability to do a thing. Is to create the ability to make it make sense that this is cockeyed. Like that. And I actually mean that in a good way. Okay, so let's fill this in up to our requisite height, which at this point is 10-ish. I might actually go up and come back down. That would be a fun thing to do. At least for the inner line. Let's fill this in. I wanted to move the rail line somewhere. Let me put this here. Alright, oh, I don't have that. It's not an accurate measurement anymore. I need to look at this now. Let me put this over here so that I can continue seeing it. So we're about 25 minutes in. Speaking of which, let me look at the comments real quick. There's nothing... well, actually, Brady Cure said at Clinchfield F7, I think in East Kentucky, Western Vingina. And he replies, I meant Virginia. But I would have probably let that slide and not read the first comment had it not been so funny. And then Yo, it's Chris says, all hail King Spork. Sure. Glad you had plenty to contribute there. But yeah, the Clinchfield unit, that would have been the CSX train, wouldn't it? I think. I'm not sure there's another Clinchfield F unit out there. At least not one that's painted up like a Clinchfield F unit. And was it an F7 or was it an F3? Because I don't know. Whatever. Let's flatten this out some more. More plateau tool. Alright, so speaking of more plateau tool, we need to work along the edge here. We need to flatten out the edge a little bit. And I think I'll leave that as is. We have to push the edge in. We need to fill in this with water still. But what I'm thinking of doing is effectively making it so that the line comes in at an angle. So let me put that there, actually. Line comes in at an angle, or line comes in the way it should, but the yard curves. It's going to be a relatively small yard, and then one of the branches runs up here, which means that I wouldn't put a Y here. Which initially I was thinking, okay, we'll build a Y in, and that'll be that. But if I don't put a Y here, that sort of changes things. The other thing is, I think I need a nice, hefty drawbridge. So let's look for a drawbridge. That's a spline. Oh. I mean, this is pretty cool. This is actually quite cool. I need it to be 4 tracks. Okay. That's cool, but no. I know I had a bridge. Let me see, let me just look up bridge. I don't know. Oh, White Pass in Yukon. That's handy. It's got no track. Oh, yes it does. I lied. That's actually very, very nice. The track is, at least. Wrought iron. Oh, that's cool. That's too low. Timber bridge. Swing bridge. Crib. No. I need a long, like a 4-track railroad bridge. What is this? Oh, man. This is the thing that Kevon had on his route. I can't use that anyways, but... This is small. Port Clinton Lift Bridge. Oh, this is nice. This is Ben Dorsey, I would assume. It is not for shallow depths, however. Or it is not for deep depths. It is for shallow only. Which presents a slight problem, because I need it to be deep. really am annoyed with the noise, for the record. The underwater noise is very noisy. Also, it disappears when you move like 2 feet away from it. There's this one. Which, this is something that I was thinking about, but I think I'm going to use this elsewhere. Medieval bridge. Lift bridge. That is not, I mean, that's a, okay. Leaning. Leaning? How is it leaning? That's some stairs. How is that a bridge? Forestall. That's not a bridge either. These are all footbridges. Something else. Clinchfield Railroad Bridge 10. I can't use that. That I've used. This is that bridge, which, again, I might use that somewhere. Bruton House facing ridge. No. Bridge supports. This is broken, I think. Bridge of the Gods. Wow. What is this bridge? Holy crap. Bowstring girder bridge. Oh. Laurel line stuff. There's these guys. Bascule Lift Bridge 1. It's got 2 tracks on it, that's handy. Weird tracks. First Clinchfield River Bridge. Interesting. Okay, so I think we're kind of stuck with this guy if we want to put a drawbridge here. Where was this from? It's Port Clinton. Okay, sure. You know, I'll let it happen. Actually, here's my benchmark. Let me build some invisible track and toy with this real quick. Get rid of this. Let's do invisible track. The BNSF 50 invisible track. So we built it under the ground, or under the water rather. Let's see. It's got to be. Let's do -2 for an attempt. For this, and then we'll get. So we'll extend that out so we have a little bit more room, and then we'll get the tug. Drivable tugboat. Okay, so we need to go lower. Shush, you're loud. How about -5? Alright, almost there, maybe -6. Okay, so that's applied, I hope. Can't see where it is. It's buried. Alright, we are almost there. Try -7. I'm really hoping this is actually working properly. Click. Ah, -7 is where it's at. Okay, so the goal is I need a bridge where I can fit this guy under it. And if I can make something... See, the thing is, I don't think I'm going to be able to make something tall enough using conventional means in order to fit the tugboat under it. And I really wish the bridge would stop disappearing. See, this can fit the tugboat under it, which is good. So I think I might just live with this. The other thing I need to do is I need to straighten out the channel a little bit more. Or at the very least, I need to move the bridge over more. Okay. But I might do something with the tug and the invisible track. You know, that's something that I might kick around. It wouldn't be something where you could drive the tug on the, like in the shipping lanes, but it'd be something. Alright, maybe, okay, so we need to put this bridge in such a way that it is not a problem, basically. Which means that it has to be almost all the way to this side. Because lift span is there. These guys are in the ground, which is good. These guys are not. Yeah, these guys are not in the ground at all. You know what I might do? Well, first of all, I need to raise the ground so that it's underneath these. And grab the ground. The ground here is about that height. What's the ground here? Because that's the height that I need. Okay, so turn this way down. Whatever the opposite of dredging is, that's what I'm doing. I cannot hear a damn thing. I can't hear the music. This is so loud. I don't like it. I feel like I'm gonna drown. And I love the water. I just feel like I'm gonna drown. Oh, what have I done? I stopped the noise. I think I drowned. Alright, this is fine. Alright, here's what I'll do. So, what elevation is this track at? That is kind of a big question. Big important question. 6.05. Okay, we can get there. We can get down there. Let's do... what is it called? US wood. No. One track wood. Nope. What about Tane? There we go. One track wood. I knew it was named something. Alright, so I want to make this more or less a straight line. Or at the very least, what I want to do is I want to look at it from the map with gradients on. Hide this. Gradient. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we can get down there, no problem. So we'll work on the track arrangement of that later. The other thing I want to do is attach this to this side, because I'm not going to make a bridge up to the end of the bridge. I'm just going to make an embankment. So this side is fairly straightforward. I'm just going to make it a straight line. No, no sweat. The other side is going to be something else entirely. So terrain is going to probably stay like this on this side. How about now? One. Let me do a little bit more terrain on the side. I know, by my own rules, I shouldn't be working on this side of the river, but I do need to have enough here to sort of anchor it, at least to make the scene a little bit better. Alright, so put this there. At the very least, I just need some land. I just need some land. Nothing special, nothing to write home about, just some dirt and ground and rocks. Put some train tracks on. We haven't really gotten to Bellington yet, either. We are going to have a highway crossing, which that's another can of worms to open up. Kind of forgot about the highway. Not the Oh, I did it again! I just did it again! God damn it, I've been so good at not doing that. Alright, hold on, you're going to be staring at a black screen again. I need to fix the size of the stupid window. There we go, it's fixed. Let me delete my extra file. That's twice now that I have to do that. This is going to be such an annoying, like, impossibly annoying thing to edit. Goodness gracious, kill me now. Let me delete this too so I don't get confused. Alright. We're running again. Sync. Sync. How is it I never have problems with that, and then today, I've done it twice now. Today is a really off day. I hate Thursdays. I forget the hang of Thursdays. Alright, put this over here. Straighten this out. Oh, I straightened that, that's what happened. Alright, 0.88 and then, alright, yeah, that's fine. Let me attach this. Let me at least put this together properly. So I'm gonna have signals on this side of the bridge. Okay. So when I get these 4 tracks in, I'm gonna do the tracks on the other side. Still need to keep an eye on timing. We're only 42 minutes in, and I've broken the recording twice. By the time we're done, I should have broken the recording about 6 times. If we're going just by that ratio. There have been so many times in videos where I thought I've grabbed the edge and just not, and been very careful about it. You know, realize, oh, I got close, but you know, the game would be nice to me and I wouldn't actually have grabbed the edge. Today's not one of those days. Okay, I need to put some land here. Turn the radius way down. There we go. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Click on that side of the thing and not on the other side so that we don't make any sort of mistakes. Except that looks dumb now. Because this side is like gently sloped and this side is not. I'm annoyed. Today is not good. Today's an annoying day now. Oh wait, that's going down. No. I need it to get to you know, like 9 point whatever this height is. 9.68. That's our basic height right now. But then again, I can't really do that right now because we are having other issues. I just wanted to attach that there. We've got the Port Clinton Bridge, which is just fine by my reckoning. When we drive something at it, it should close in time for us. Or the train will just crash. That can happen. Alright, let's do more coastline though. We do have to get the coastline all the way over here. We can't just ignore the fact that there's supposed to be an ocean here. Even though it looks like we cut a hole in the middle of it, or 2 holes, or several holes. Via whatever methods we choose. Okay. I can actually do this from space now, this is nice. so I'm going to cut it off here. The rule of thumb is don't build right up to the edge of the tile, which is what I'm trying to do. Except for in this case, because it's ocean tile, it doesn't really matter. So let's just go on the edge here. We've got lots of ocean to take care of. There's plenty of stuff I can do in my life, including this, which is just nice and monotonous, and I don't have to think about anything or, concentrate on it. I just have to do it in the background. It's great when you've got nothing better to do. The rest of the time it sucks. So that's why I'm dragging you into doing it, because misery loves company. You guys know. Alright, so let's at the very least get some more water in here. So where are we now? We are right here. We've done our basic sort of brainstorming over here as to what things are going to look like. Again, I'm figuring a yard that sort of curves in this direction and then goes in this direction. And the yard is not going to be anything to write home about. But there is going to be a protected harbor that's over here that we are going to have to deal with. In fact, I think... See, now I'm distracted again. I'm distracted with this. Let me grab my height. Let me put more of my height down. Disclaimer, this is not actually my height. It's not how tall I am, and I do not have copyright over it. Either. Those two things are not related either. You don't have copyright over how tall you are. That would be interesting. Alright, so let's lower this down here to something a little bit more manageable. Like so. Great, now we're fighting again. Alright, so flatten this out here. We don't need it to be so blunt. I do actually need this to sort of come down towards it, as we will have a little dock set over here, a set of docks. And yeah, let's do that. Oh, that is much too deep. I need a much lower sensitivity because I just basically moused over it once and punched some holes in the earth. I'm going to decrease the radius and do that. Put a marina over here maybe? That'd be cool. Put a little bit there, so you would have to come in and go around this way. This isn't really going to be to the size of the Connecticut River, but... Alright, this is good. This is good, I like. Me gusta. Okay. Okay. So we've got underway a little bit more now. We have plenty of Z fighting to deal with. We need to start plateauing harder. I mean harder. Basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing the land out instead of bringing this down, because we have so little... We have a little strip to play with and not the other way around. Or not anything else. Yeah, also descended slightly. I'm gonna reduce... Or I'm gonna increase this little strip, I suppose. To that, which is a thicker strip. Bacon strip. Thicker strips are always better. Okay, so... Put this here. Do this. Because now we have a little nub, which is fine. It's good, probably. Pull this out in this direction. Alright, so let's plateau some more. All I need to do is make this smooth enough. Just smooth enough. That's all I need to do. Alright, we are on too high a sensitivity to make ocean. All I want to do is just make it low enough so that we can see water on the shoreline. Yeah, this is a little bit deep. That's okay for now. We're just going through it. We're going through it the first time through and getting it to be a little bit better, a little bit more usable. Yeah, see, now we can go in. Now that we have a little bit more thickness on this edge, we can go in from the water. Also, the other important thing is that the water is below sea level now, or the ground below the water is below sea level. So that we can plateau in from the sea, and because we're clicking over here in the water, we're grabbing a height that is below sea level. And so we can lower the stuff down via that instead of this, which means that, and with the Z finding, it means that we can only grab something that is at water level or 0 and below, or sorry, and above. So we could never, with the plateau tool, decrease the land height below water height. Okay. We've got some interesting nubs there. Make it a bigger nub. That doesn't look like anything from the map yet. That's gonna be a deep spot. Oops. Let's add some more water. Let's see, where's our work done up to? Oh, we have this area. Frankly, I'd rather not be working on this right now. I would rather be working on the track, but this is so, it's almost alluring in a way, because it's like, look at this simple thing that I can just bang out. And there's so much of it to do, it sort of yells at you, like, this needs to be taken care of. Because it does. This is my 2 hours a week that I get to spend. It's not half over yet, but it's getting there. This is my 2 hours a week that I've guaranteed to get to spend on Pilgrim. And I'd like to get plenty of work done, and bouncing around from one project to another does not really get you a lot of work done. It does, but you spend so much time setting up and thinking about, okay, what am I going to do on this project, that you lose time each time. Whereas, if you could come up with it, and then finish the project, and then do the next thing, and then finish that project, and then do the next thing, and finish that project, you'd save yourself a lot more of intermediate time, or what we could, I suppose, call lost time. So non-working time, in refiguring out what you were trying to do with a given section every single time. It saves you. It's good. That's what I'm trying to say. So fill this in. Now we have up to here, so we have another couple of tiles to play with, and we are tantalizingly close, considering how far we've come. We are, 2/3 of the way there. Maybe more than that, maybe like 3/4. Especially considering we've got, more techniques now, we know what we're doing a little bit better. Alright, first things first is I'm going to raise up the backdrop. That is always the first thing to happen, because the backdrop is the high point. It is what we are having to compare it to, and once it's covered in trees, it'll be subtle but prominent in a way, which those two are almost contradictory terms, but the idea is it'll be noticeable, but it won't be obnoxious. It won't be like, oh, look, there's that bulge in the background. And I talked about this a little last time. But it's like, oh, there's that bulge in the background versus, okay, the land goes up over there. Yeah, so I want to do a little bit more work with this. I do want to actually extend this out over here a little bit, because what this will enable us to do, it'll enable It'll enable us to build the 2 tracks there as sort of the high road still. Even though everything's pretty much at the same base elevation. Yeah, the lumpiness of the mountains will be fixed. But once again, if we have the VMR be in a place where I can see those tiles from here, that means we're going to have to build and fill in the entire middle. For an idea of that, no, yeah, I'm already here, I'm thinking of it. So 5 miles, I do want to be about 5 miles from here, so that's about 10 tiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, I can see a crossing by the VMR there. And the VMR, because this is in a valley, will be much higher, because it'll be struggling to gain elevation this whole time. We can actually get some pretty hefty elevation. Even if we have, if you have a 1% grade for 5 miles, or sorry, 15 miles, you've gotten over a mile, a mile and a half of elevation gain out of that, which is not insignificant at all, which is extremely significant. So it's something that's worth paying attention to. It's something that's worth noting. We're going to be able to get, pretty significant heights out of this if we are consistent with higher grades. But I don't want to be consistent with higher grades. I want to be realistic. It's not realistic to have a mile-high rail line in a New England-styled area. It doesn't happen. There aren't any areas that are that high in New England, except for the White Mountains. And while the Volga Mountains, I do think, are going to get quite high, I'm still trying to have that same sort of modeling. I do need to pay attention to the fact that terrain doesn't really do that. It doesn't just jump up out at you. By the same token, I will see what I can do, and I'll see what I want to do once I get there. Which, everything could change in an instant based on just, oh, let me look at this. Oh, look, we can go up here and it'll be cool. It's entirely possible that I will, quite like the idea of getting that high, but a 15-mile-long 1% grade is significant, like extremely significant. That's D&H's Ararat summit right there, and that was a line that was, well, it was abandoned because they had a better route, because they had a better option when Conrail sold them the line that runs from Scranton to Binghamton. If you want to look up Ararat, I'm telling you a really cool history on that. I've been doing some research into it with the help of Chris, or rather, Chris has been doing research into it, and I've been along for the ride. But that's something that is particularly cool, and as well as a good example of a very long, fairly steep grade. And I say fairly steep because I'll be honest, it's not crazy steep. It's just bad in that it's that long. So I'll have to be, careful of what I'm doing with that sort of thing, because I don't want to fall into the trap of having a railroad that's overly steep. I've already done that plenty of times. In fact, that's one of the mistakes that's usually made, and this time I actually am calling it a mistake, because trains just don't do that. Having close towns is one thing, because you can use it for operation. You don't have to run very far to cover the whole map, but it's a horse of a different color when your route is, impossibly difficult to navigate in in cab mode, because your gradients are incredibly high. Your gradients are needlessly high. You can only carry 1 or 2 cars up this massive grade with an engine, which, unless you're modeling the Uinta, really isn't right. you're modeling the winter, more power to you. But other people are already doing that. Alright, so let's do this some more. I'm trying to stick to the sort of bulges and ideas that I've made / had so far, but there's only so much that I can really do. I'm just sort of building. I'm just trying to smooth it out. That's my number one right now, and then I can come through and make the water watery. Alright, we're halfway through. No comments of consequence this time. If anybody knows any more good 4-track drawbridge, that'd be nice. I did look up those crossings, by the way. I wasn't really all that impressed. I feel like I have the crossings that I need right now. Most of them are UK. I think I did download the US stuff, or at least I tried to. Does it have a system that's like ATLS or competes with ATLS? Or I was looking over it. I was a little bit bewildered. It seemed like the way it was working is that it's completely its own system. But then again, I don't really know anything about that. I do that. Get rid of that. I'm just trying to get rid of the Z fighting. We'll take care of the actual specifics later. Let me fill in more water because it needs it. It's thirsty. So thirsty. Alright. Fill. There. Alright, so we're getting there. It doesn't look like anything from the map still. I would like to make it look like something from the map, but that requires coming in and doing all of this to the proper depth, which would take a whole bunch of extra time, and I kind of want to get back on land right now. I'm just filling this in so that we know where the coastline is, at least when we're sputzing around down here. I think the coastline's pretty varied. I think it's coming out well. Okay, so done with that. I want to do, again, I want to do more hillocks. I want to build more hills. A little bit more, especially here. We can let that lay low for a little bit and build in front of it, at least to an extent. We do need to have, water would not go back there. Again, with the water, I can't go a single episode without talking about waters unless I'm talking about car propaganda. So, I'm going to try to bring this forward a little bit. I'm going to try to raise this area sort of on the whole. And I already went over it with a brush and did this. So I'm creating some bumps, but I'm really just creating some variation, which in and of itself doesn't do a whole lot. I'm going to create a little rise here that we can have the rail lines avoid. But the important thing is that it's not completely flat, because nothing's really ever completely flat. We're not in Kansas. I'm going to try and create these little, quasi-tidal inlets, which, there's something. I really wish that it always showed up. And by it, I mean water on the map, because it doesn't really show up so well anymore. I liked the way it was. You could easily tell where there was water and where there was not, and also where there was deep water. That is no longer a thing. I'll give these guys a reason to go this way. Like so. Little rise there. Nothing to write home about. Just a little rise. Oh, that's too much though. Walk a fine line. Do that. Just to make this guy's life a little bit easier. Yeah, but you have to pay attention to these gradients. This is fairly minimal. This is significant. This grade right here is too much. So what I want to do is I want to pull... I almost grabbed the edge of the window for the third time this video. Is it Shakwad or is that just me? Hold on, I'm gonna put that back to where it was. And I'm going to change this to be 0.9. 0.9. Which is fine. 0.9 is fine. Now we'll deal with, get rid of this for now. Let's check a little bit farther. That's also that's 0.9. This is 1.07. Is this because this is going too low and then coming back up? No, they're both going down. Here, we have to fiddle with it. I think I'm going to create a little embankment over this rise, and this should follow, or it should follow that this will be a cut. Yeah. I shouldn't really be doing this close to the end of the track because I know things will change, but I'm not all that concerned about it. And I really need to stop with this. This should be gone. This should be 0. Thank you. Put that there. I'm excited that we're almost getting track to a place where we can call it done with the track for a bit, because that means that place in particular, not because I want to be done with track, but because I want to be able to run things, turn them around, and bring them back. Right now, everything's a dead end, and that's where so many projects die. I've seen so many railroads in trains where somebody builds a very nice starting yard, a very nice starting area where they get to play with their trains, and goes a couple of miles or whatever, and then gives up, and then they never touch the route again, and it sucks because usually those are the ones where it's like this has so much potential, it looks so good, it's it's really going somewhere, and now it's going nowhere, and it won't ever go anywhere again. So it's going to feel like a breakthrough moment where I can actually run things. At the very least, I can run a sort of, I guess it would be a manifest from one end to the other. These guys don't seem like they're at the same level. Maybe because it wasn't. I don't know. Is it at the same level? I can't really tell. Before I do this, let me make sure. Okay, it's 0.9 still. And the other one's 0.92, which is cutting it close, but it's not that. I will have to fix that in a minute. Or at some future point. Is this a nice curve still? Oh, that's a terrible curve. Hold on. This is not nice at all. I really need to work on that. Maybe to like there? No, then it's too much from there. I guess that's fine. Doesn't look great. I don't really like it. This... Does this still... it just turns? It doesn't, like... you know what? I don't like it. I don't like it. It feels like it's wonky, and it doesn't seem right, because it feels like there's a random straight section in the middle here, like I've pinched it. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna get rid of these two. Alright, that is the natural curvature. Well, that's not necessarily great, because it means that it's a spiral curve now, it's not a circular curve, which means that I need to straighten this to here or something. Or at the very least, I need to point these guys slightly in a different direction. Although I think that just did the opposite. Yeah, that made it a whole lot worse. Crap. What if I pull them out this way? No, that doesn't look good either. This is the problem. You can't eyeball stuff as a city. You can't civil engineeringly eyeball things. That's what we're doing. I could always do math. But I've already done plenty of math on this show. That's for damn sure. Ugh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm gonna have to live with it. I really don't like it. It's, I don't, I'm not sure if it's ever gonna look right. I mean, I could sit here and fiddle with it for another 2 hours. And it could probably be weird. I'm gonna have a zigzag here to get around this. Alright, so I'm gonna put this over here. This is a nice broad curve. Let's see if I can do this one right. How does it look on the map? It looks like a very subtle waggle. Good. The only problem is, I need to fix the gradients, because this is way too high. Alright, so... let's see how it looks. Alright, so... oh, we've lined up with the grid again. Oh well. Not the end of the world. And this guy is going to have some other problems because he's got to go across here. I have an even dumber idea. Yeah, no, that's not good. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see, if I cut this back to maybe... what is the gradient on this right now? 0.36, okay. Not that bad. Oh, because it goes over this dip. I think I'm okay with the way that the gradients are currently. On this line, the gradients and the curves. Let's see. No, I'm not. I lied. Well, at the very least, I'm okay with the way the curves are. This is going up to there. And that whole thing is in a cut. Okay. so this means this is all more or less at the same height. That raised imperceptibly. That just didn't raise at all. Why are you not working? Oh. How about this part of the line? Yeah, this part has decent grades. Yeah, I'll just be able to cross that on a bridge. Minor bridge. Let's see, I need to get the highway to come back from somewhere. I don't even know where I sent it off to like the Shadow Realm and I forgot to bring it back. I have to figure it out. Because remember, we got rid of it over here. Through this cut. And this very awkward, sort of bumpy highway. Yeah, I don't really like the way this came out, but it isn't really going to be looked at all that much. But yeah, I do need to bring it back at some point. I'll say it took a much more inland route. I do want it to come back for, I can have it cross the line there. Probably not in a crossing, because that would be a little bit large for a crossing, but on a bridge. Okay, so what's next? We need to continue both of these. This needs to cross the thing. I have to at least finish with the water here. Let's zoom out so that we don't have any, so we don't have to see what's wrong. Okay, so where do I need to finish it until? Probably here or so. We can do another few tiles of ocean. Or we can just say F it and do the whole thing. I could always just copy and paste. That would work. It'd probably look mighty weird from the map. Water already looks weird from the map. Water looks weirder now than it did then. Alright, fill this in. Fill it in. All of it. There. Alright, so that goes up to like here. Let's do a little bit more. Okay. Oh, we can actually see the grid lines and the water if we've zoomed out this much. That's a nice compromise, I guess. Well, it's not a compromise. It's just getting everything. What's the opposite of a compromise? Because this is that. So you just gotta like wave it around until you don't get to see the circle anymore. I need to work on this line here, the edge here. I missed a spot over here. Alright, we're honeycombing it, which I'd say it's fine, but it's not. It needs to all be sunk. Alright, there we go. Right there, right there, right there, right there, right there. It's like I'm itching the ground. I don't think I'm actually doing anything when I'm looking at it from that distance, because I have the thing that says you can't use the tool from this distance turned off. if I ever see the edge of the circle, it means there's an area right there that's not deep enough. This could also be a way to take out your frustrations. Just come over here and wiggle on it. Honestly, I should be doing it in a more controlled manner, but I'm not. I'm just doing it. Alright, so we have spots here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And I think I'm zoomed out just enough that I can actually take care of them. Because I can see the circle. There, there. I'm just brushing it down into submission. Yep, okay. Alright. And right there is a nice big one. Take out that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. This chunk right here, this chunk right here, this whole thing along the edge, this whole thing along the edge. This would have been an island. Oh, and it updates too. Awesome. Smudge, smudge, smudge. Come on, update, let me see. Huh. We are really getting there. Awesome. Right there. Another smudge. Huh. Tiring work. Tiring work waving the mouse around like this. It's woof. I don't know how some people can do it all day. Really, you know, gets me winded. I need a nice, like, protein-filled meal after this. This episode of Under Construction is brought to you by, I don't know, protein bars? In a very literal sense it is, because I eat them. But they didn't pay for this. In fact, I paid for them. Well, they were given to me. Somebody paid for them. And it wasn't the company. I won't say what company it is, because they didn't pay me. They are good, though. Alright, so let's continue this. Alright, come on, come on, come on, come on. I don't know why I just decided to do all this. Again, it's the kind of thing where I can zone and I can think about other stuff and talk about other stuff and I can do this. Unfortunately, I'm not talking about anything. I'm not talking about anything. I'm just saying, I'm just going around in circles doing this and not actually utilizing the brain power it's saving me. You know, you ever feel like you're just so limited on that? Like, you can only really do one or two things at a time. You can only really do one thing at a time. You do two things at a time, you end up forgetting halfway through doing one. And I'm amazed that, you know, the thing where it's like, alright, pat your head, rub your belly in a circle, and, you know, do some other third thing, like chew gum. You know, I can't walk and chew gum. I can do that. I can't, I fail at the pat head, rub belly thing far more often than I would probably like to disclose, but it's not great. And lately I feel like I'm just so scatterbrained, especially with all this crap. Alright, do that, do this, and that. I'm trying to make the shoreline at least look realistic from the map, where it doesn't, really. Which, again, this doesn't show, it doesn't really show the terrain here, it just shows gray. Which this shows the terrain. I don't know. And we filled the rest in with water. So there's that. I'm really thinking of what to do. We're going to need to fill in with water, and we're going to need to fill in with land, too. We need to fill all this area in with land. From here to the end, which is a handful of tiles. So at the very least, let's do that. And what I think I may do... I don't know. Just figuring what I think I may do is just include a... so at the very least I'm going to be able to do this. I was going to include a section of even higher land that we would have to sort of get over. And that's where the other line would really shine, because one would have to get over all this land and the other one would stay on the coastline. So, pull this back this way. Alright. So we're going to have to fill this all in. This is quite a lot to fill in. If it was any higher, I would use the copy-paste tool, but frankly, I'm not sure it demands it. It's barely 10 meters of difference, and boom, there, we're at one corner now. We just have it all filled in. And then we'll just run it over with a, run it over with the height tool, with the raise tool, and that'll be that. You know, we've got another half an hour or so. If I can get track to basically to where Mason Valley is going to be, I will be ecstatic. But to do that means terraining all this area. And I really don't want to skimp on the ocean. I don't want to forget about it. All the Z fighting out there. I'll see it eventually. I'll remember to do it, but it's such a big thing where I can sit back and do that. Again, you sort of gravitate towards these things when you're route building. You gravitate towards the things you either want to see done immediately, or the things that aren't difficult to do. So, it's either... Oh, crap. 1 second. There we go. It's either you're going to take care of the things that, you know, you really would like the track work and stuff like that, that are, you know, maybe not simple, but there's something that you're going to see a significant return on very quickly, versus the alternative, you're either going to see something that you're going to see a return on very quickly, or something that will take a long time, but you can do mindlessly, like this. I'm driving around in circles, filling the ground in. I'm not really doing anything that's taking a lot of mental strain or effort, but then again, nothing too much when you're route building, at least, is something that... I mean, unless you decide to do math, in which case you can put a lot of time and effort into it. But you can put a lot of time and effort into it, sure, but it's not something that's going to be mentally draining, I feel like, you know, route building. Unless you're up against the wall in terms of a deadline or something, you're doing a route build competition or something like that, you know. There we go. This, and this. We're almost done with this area. We're almost done with the terrain in this area, and then we can move on to the scenery. And I feel like the scenery between here and, you know, back to Olive is going to be simple. Although there are going to be plenty of areas where there's going to be a lot to do, it's all going to be relatively simple. Alright, so this is all flat now. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull this from here to here. Alright, so we've got some plateau going on over there, I think, where the land slopes down because it wasn't lining up quite right when I just filled this in. But this is 9.7, and I think we have some 9.6 something stuff over there. 0.69, 0.68, 0.67. But slightly lower. Stuff where I just got basically unlucky with a click, or I got lucky with a click this time to make the ground higher. Alright, so we don't have that many ocean tiles left. Alright, let's work on this. The other benefit of splitting it up that I didn't really think about too much is the idea that you'll be able to use more kinds of bridges. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end this about there. And I'm going to start a left turn in this direction. It's a very tight left turn. Maybe I'll pull this back to here. Straighten that out. Okay, so we can use that from the elevation, but you can't use that. But can I actually just use this from the map? Hold on. Not that. Like this? No. Okay. I like that there's sort of intermediate level of the map where you can do that kind of stuff. How about if I do that? That is going to be a very high embankment, but overall, it lets us get back towards our other rail, which is good. Let's see if I can find a little culvert bridge that'll fit that. Alright, let's attach the second track, because we've been neglecting that. Another 28 minutes. So, these main lines are going to be interesting. Something I learned about creameries as well is that they've got very small stub-ended, or not stub-ended actually, the opposite. They've got very small double-ended sidings because you would have so many creameries on a line and the turnover would be so quick that you'd want to spend as little time dealing with them as possible. So you would have the train pull up, you'd cut off the correct number of cars, and then you would pull forward, you would push the car out of the industry and back down onto the train, pull up, leave the other car that you have to leave there, which was the last one in the cut that you took originally, or would have been if you're doing it right. And then you back down onto your train and continue. It's, or, you know, in some cases, the in and out would be via different trains. So, it would be easier to, you pull up to it, you cut the engine off, you back it down through the siding, you know, pull the car, or, you know, not pull the car, but you back it down into the siding, into the car, and then out the other side of the siding and onto your train, or you know, when you're doing it in reverse, what you would do is you would pull the train up, cut off, you know, the amount of cars you need. You'd pull through the siding, drop the car that you had to drop where it belonged, and then continue out the other side of the siding and then back down onto your train. It made things a lot quicker and a lot easier to do it that way, but it looks so very odd, and they stand out on maps. So if you're ever looking on a track map or something and you see a double-ended siding that's only a handful of cars long, at most, you know, maybe they'd only fit 2 cars, but if you see, you know, something that small, you should say, oh, creamery. That's what that would be. Alright, so do this, put that there. These guys seem to be on the level pretty much, which I just need to get them lined up properly. This is so very low. It's actually almost perfectly in line with the ground, however. So that's nice. This is actually fine. because this would be the secondary track, and it's closer to the edges of the cuts and the edges of the embankments. Although here that's a little bit too close. There we go. Look how wobbly this looks. It looks awesome. Compare it to this from over here. I mean, that's something. But it's straight, curve, straight, curve, straight, straight, curve. You know, this has a little kink in the curve. But then you have this, where it starts doing this weird straight curve, straight curve, straight curve. That's all piled on top of one another. I think it's amazing. It's going to be very fun to run. Another 25 minutes. I don't think I can lay this much track at 25 minutes, with terrain and all. At the very least, I'm going to spend that much time just putting the hills up at the edge here. I don't know, maybe I can do it, if I'm quick about it. I'll make the hills rather mundane. Although, towards this corner, I want them to get a little bit higher. The corner up there. So I do want to do that. Also, I'd like to have some more people on the background of this, but only people that are actually going to sit and contribute, and or at the very least pay attention the whole time. Not necessarily like Kerbal. I'm not crapping on the people that, you know, the people that are my co-pilots in Kerbal, because in my most recent recording session, especially TBA was quite helpful. But usually when I'm doing Kerbal or when I was doing the building podcast, it wouldn't necessarily be expected for people to always be in the game that I'm playing or pay attention to the game that I'm playing. And in this case, I would rather have more dialogue about what I'm building and, you know, spitballing ideas and that kind of thing. Or instructional stuff. Like I had Mason on for, which unfortunately that didn't go well. But I have learned my lesson. I think. Still dumb. Pretty dumb. Alright. Let me raise all this up, because we're running into a weird thing where the valley is lower than the area that's supposed to dump into. Weird. Bumpeth. The other thing we can tie these guys back together and sort of run them through a valley here. That might be useful. Oh, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do the thing that I said earlier. So let's raise all this area up. And we've got to be a little bit careful with the way we're doing this. For reasons of geology and geography, of course. I want to raise this so that we actually have something in the background so it doesn't look like we're riding over a mountain ridge or something, because we're not. The area over here is always going to be taller than the area that we're working on. Or that we're riding on, I should say. Because this is where the hills are. This is where the mountains are. And I've got to think about how I'm going to keep myself, basically. How I'm going to keep myself from getting too high in elevation when I'm working on the VMR and crossing the mountains. Especially when it comes to attaching it to the to the Zion and Skyline, because they have a much more direct route from Gilson City into the mountains, which is not something that the VMR has. The VMR does not go to Gilson City. All of the through traffic, or all of the passengers on the VMR that go to Gilson City will be going via the Zion and Skyline, or the Gilson Eastern. Yeah, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the height of the land over here. Just using the height tool instead of anything really special, but I'm going to create some bulges that we're going to have to get through. I saw 59 in my recording. That's just this, that marks an hour since I screwed up the video last, that's nice. That's pretty good. That's an hour and 40 minutes of video about. means I have 20 minutes left, and I'm spending it all doing this. But it does mean that I am going to need to have like a little bit of a run up to this and not just have this be a ridgeline in the middle of nowhere. It also means that I need to increase the height of this stuff over here, like I said, because we're not crossing the highest point, we're crossing just a little bump. Spot between what essentially would be two valleys. And so let's add a little bit more backdrop. Effectively backdrop. Yeah, see, this is too high. Or at the very least, it's not. If it's not too high, what it is it's too steep. See, this wouldn't really be here. It wouldn't look like this. And I do need to make it so that I can get over it. With the Gelston-Eastern's limitations on gradients, which is 1% at the maximum. And I've already broken that in a couple of places, but not really significantly and not for any great length. So, I would like to run up tracks to this. Look at this, look how high this gets. What is this right here? This is 23. That is very, very high. We're really gonna have to balance cut and fill on this one. So let's get the second track up here. Because we had started that and did not finish it. So we're going to put that there. We're going to put this... Oh! We're going to put this over here because I think that's the next spline point. I hope so. Put that there. Do the height right. But yeah, that's about twice as high as we are right now. I'm really going to have to pay attention getting up there. That is an impediment to the building of this railroad. And this is where I could really add a secondary, like someplace where the right-of-way would have gone. In fact, we'll probably cross over it. Unless they would have opted to build an inclined plane here back in the day. Which those are the beginnings of many a railroad. Alright, and there. I'm just thinking. I'm mentally preparing myself for building this because this is going to be a bastard, no doubt. What if I go this way? This way I can probably get over like this. But then there's the down on the other side that's going to be the real problem. But I didn't actually finish the other side, so let's do that. So I can add a little bit more here. Make it a little bit more hospitable, a little bit more real. And over here add a little bit of a backing. So the other side of the valley would be here. So we're almost going to be funneled towards the water. I don't want to do this too much because this will just make my life harder. But yeah, we have to get over this. We have to do it somehow. And I think the thing to do it is going to be going in this direction. Whoa. That was weird. Never seen that bug before. over this, and then I could probably go sort of this way. The problem is putting this turn in. We're going to have a real bugger of a time getting down, so I have to do that. Or something similar. If we want to come down in a sane manner. Let's figure something out. So this, I'm building like the middle track. Also, notice the gradients on this. This is terrible. There's really no way we can get around that. There's just a big hill in the way. It's just a big hill in the way. Well, what I can do is I can actually lower this. That is a nice smooth turn, or at least it's getting to be one. So what I will do is I will add another spline point here so that we can work on that. Yeah, let's see, we've got another 15 minutes. We can figure out a turn in 15 minutes. That is high. That is a high gradient. Alright, so we're going to get rid of a spline point here in order for me to build a straight line this way. That's sort of a lead into this turn. Don't really need that. What I do need is nothing with a negative percentage. Right, so put spline point there. Alright, here's what I want to do. I want to actually build a... Oh, what did I just do? Oh, wow. That doesn't look bad. It is still pretty tight and the grades are way too steep, but it doesn't look bad from the map. Here, let me straighten this out a little bit more. And then we'll go along the coast. See, I need to sort of figure out the falling action of this whole thing. I need to figure out the where we end up. Because once I figure that out, I can start really adjusting things. Oop. Because we're getting to a place, I'm starting to see the ability to make this not so absurd. Again, gradients, still a problem. But if we can lower them, like if we give this a 1% grade starting here, or let's do a 0.9 to be a little bit more careful. This is a nice long lead up. Oh crap. It's still way too low though. And then if we do negative 0.9 from here, I'll put in negative 0.9. Yeah, that does not get us down fast enough. Also, this is still too tight. How bad does this look? Let me see. So that's very tall. That's very tall. That's okay. Short section, short section. Not bad. Actually, that cut was pretty damn nice. This is the part that's really not good. This is way too tall. Alright, so we are getting somewhere with this. You know what? I think I'm going to try 0.8. 0.8. Starting here. Which, again, this might screw things up pretty bad. Because we started pretty far back with that. That's a little bit better. That's actually pretty much the same. which implies that that's still going to be really tall. So is that, so is that. That still isn't that deep of a cut. We could definitely do deeper. Also, we can stretch this out a little bit to make this turn not so sharp. This is real bad, but all things considered, this is not the worst that we've seen. It's probably not the worst that we've done either. I mean, hell, we could probably stay up here for a little bit at least. Yeah, if we... Okay, hold on. I need to undo some stuff. I need to try something else. So we're going to try something else. First things first, I'm going to adjust this so that it's not so weird. That is better. The next thing is, I'm going to keep this here for reference, but I'm going to connect this way. I'm going to bring this in this direction. I need to turn this off. Because that's going to keep screwing me up. Because I don't need to get higher, that's for sure. I do need to sort of cross this on a bridge, a high bridge, and then come down in this direction. But I think that might be more doable than the alternative. See, this is the same thing that happened when we were planning the very beginnings of the VMR and we ended up with a super sharp turn. It's only because I spent so much time, you know, fiddling and fiddling and fiddling, did I find an opportunity to include that. Not that that's the best thing in the world. But did I find sort of a place... Oh. Oh, that's awful. Oh, is this... Did I straighten this? There. Alright, hold on. Let's try something. Let's try 0.8. From there instead of from here. Straighten that. Oh, never mind. Hold on a minute. That... Let's make a nice S-curve. Nice S-curve. Well, we just made like a bell curve. We made a normal distribution of railroad. Okay, but let's see. I was putting in the gradients from this side. Alright, from there, and then there, and there. Oh, and there. Oh. Ah, crap. Let me try it from this side. What I'm seeing is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not entirely sure yet. I think this is good. Let me see. Let me try it. Let me look. Alright, so we've got that same thing there, which is a little bit high, but passable. We have a cut here, which is not terrible. We have something where I could substitute a trestle, probably, if I wanted to. But I don't want to. But we've got yet another obnoxious embankment. If I shifted this over to here, I might be able to get away with it. And even better, if I ran it through this instead of that, I could have you know, almost a trestle up here. And let me undo all that. I think we're settled on this side, so we know it's going to come to at least here. So I won't fiddle with that anymore. Because we can make it over, we just need to figure out how to get down the other side. And I thought this side was going to be the easier side. I was mistaken. Well, here's what I'll do. I can make things a little bit easier for myself. I can do this. Which should help substantially more than it appears that it would. If I bump that over, because I think that's the solution to what ails us right now. That's the solution to our problem. I spent, 20 minutes doing that where I could have just gotten all the way to Mason Valley interlocking. And let's add some hills. So we've got 3 more minutes. I'm not going to fiddle with track anymore right now. I don't feel like getting involved in that. Oh, I thought it was over here, not over here. Damn, I thought it was a lot closer. That's disappointing. But either way, this is probably all going to be significant hill. Like hills like I haven't made on this side of the estuary. Alright, so let's do this. And we're going to continue with the ups. The UPS. And try not to make it so bumpy. Which I'm not really succeeding in. What I might want to do is do this, do more of this, where I drag the slope down, because that will make it flatter and smoother. But at such a distance from what effectively will be the camera all the time, there doesn't seem to be a point. That can take significantly more time, and it's much tougher to gauge your progress, because you can't as well see where stuff is higher or lower. You really have to get low and look at it. As opposed to this, where you can tell where the bumps are. You can tell what you're doing, more or less. Unless you're doing stuff that's very subtle, it's difficult to really lose track of what you're doing. In a very major sense. It's easy to lose track of it on the small scale. So this is the first corner. I'm building up to this corner because I'm certain that nothing else here is going to change. Again, lifelong tip is don't build to the end of a tile unless you know nothing there is going to change. Because failing that, you'll be left with a cliff that you have to patch, and that is a problem all on its own. That is a special issue that you will have, and you'll have to remedy. You'll have to figure that one out. Usually it takes a lot of plateau tool, a lot of very careful plateau tool. And sometimes even then it won't look right. It won't look exactly right, but it'll be good enough that it can be more or less ignored. It's just you're not going to fix it with these tools ever. You have to whip out the plateau tool for that. And honestly, I think, every tool really has its place. Like I said, I've not used terrain tracks, and I'm probably going to pretty much abstain from them on this map. But overall, they have their place most definitely. Somebody actually asked me on Steam the other day, how do I want to make a big slope, but I don't want to have to keep doing basically this what I'm doing here. And I said, lay down some terrain tracks. I explained what they were, but I said lay down some terrain tracks and use them to create the base slope, so that your basic surface that you're playing with, that you're building on, is already sloped. And so this area here, I'm going to end up turning into one big hill. So, given that, I think I'll end it here because we're at the 2-hour mark. And look at this area here and figure that this whole thing is going to be raising up. Although I do need to leave plenty of room. So anyways, we built something really great today, which is this section, and then we started doing something else, which, oh my god, this one's going to be a tricky one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Trainman out.